So, can we talk about the Mare of Easttown finale? Can we talk about it? I wanna talk about it. Okay. So, as we know, the penultimate episode, episode 6, ended on a huge cliffhanger. They're trying to call Mare, like, Mare, get out. Because the girl shows up at the police station, shows the officer a photo. The chief was like, call Mare and tell her, call Mare. So, and of course, like, Mare cannot be contacted because she, even though he told her to pull her behind over and wait for backup, it's Mare. She's not going to listen to him. So she goes all the way to the forest, gets to the fishing hole where they're at. And we saw in the last episode that there was a gun in the tackle box. And it's like, okay, is Billy going to kill his brother and then kill himself? Like, definitely, I suspected definitely a murder-suicide, is cooking. Okay. So, and I was right in that murder-suicide was on the menu, but Mare showed up and was like, not today, Satan. And so, let me back up. So, the photo is of Aaron and John Ross in bed together. So Billy, in case you missed, well, of course you caught it. Billy is not the father, nor did he have an inappropriate relationship with his little cousin / niece, Aaron. It was John as in Laura's husband, John as in who had a affair before, cheating on his wife before. And I don't even want to call this an affair because this is quite clearly incestuous statutory rape, okay? In what he did to that young girl, Erin. So John Ross, is the father of Aaron's baby. Finally get to the root of that. And so John, I guess, had convinced his brother, Billy, to take the rap for him. And Billy was going to, he convinced John, I guess, convinced Billy to take the rap for him, I guess, because Billy doesn't have a family. Which, like, the fact that he doesn't have a family doesn't mean that his life isn't worth living, but that's, like, a whole nother topic. But I guess because he had the least to lose from their perspective, okay, yeah, Billy's expendable, we'll just have Billy take the fall for it, which is, like, crazy. So they're out there in the middle of the river. John is about to kill Billy. He's about to shoot Billy. And Billy's like egging him on, just do it, then do it. Go ahead, just do it. Because, he knows deep down his brother ain't gonna do it. But then Mare shows up and was like, put the gun down. Well, I forget what she said, but something to the effect of like, drop the gun or whatever. And then John, like, he's about to shoot his brother. Mare shows up and puts the kibosh on that, and she's like struggling. Now remember, she like broke her hand or something from when she found the girls who were locked up in that attic. And so she's struggling and falling down the hill. Then she's in the water, and then there's kind of like I don't want to call it a pursuit, but she's like rushing over there, and then she fights John and gets the gun away from him, and then she like arrests John, and like he asks her to shoot him, and she's like, she doesn't respond verbally, but like she's not gonna kill him, she's gonna make him face justice, as she should. So there was that. Then let me get back to my notes. Okay, so then we get to John Ross with the police chief and Mare, and he's basically telling like his side of the story. And basically, and I give awesome, like, the acting in this whole series has been so on point, so on par, okay? And so the guy who plays John, I don't know his name, nor will I look it up, but he's saying that he had like this strong emotional connection with his cousin / niece And I say niece because like he was clearly like an uncle figure to her, because her dad and him were were cousins, but it was like a tight cousin family. So I'm just gonna say cousin slash niece. And he's like, in his mind, it was like an emotional connection because they both got each other and understood each other. But I'm just listening, like, when he started up with that girl, she was what, 14, 15 years old? You don't have an emotional connection with a 15-year-old. She doesn't have the same, like, how could she does a 15-year-old's brain, your brain isn't even done developing until age 25. So, she's still a child, and that's just like a problem, period. Like, these kids, they might have adult-sized bodies, but they are still children. So, whatever. I'm not even gonna get into all that. But anyway, but he's all like, oh, she understood me. I was having problems with my marriage. A teenager does not understand you. They did not understand, okay? And then, that emotional connection, which they forged at the family reunion that came in the highlight. That emotional connection started at the family reunion and then turned physical. Whew. And the reason why they didn't discover this relationship before is because he confessed that he and Aaron used prepaid phones to communicate with each other. So I'm like, this sneaky, nasty, ugh, okay? So then it turns out, now here's the kicker, Lore intentionally lied to Mare. She knew the truth when Mare came out to her at the end of the last episode and she told her that Billy did it. She knew it wasn't Billy. She knew that she deliberately lied to her about it being, John who pulled the trigger. So then, they cut to the courts and all that stuff. And then John, her husband, has the nerve. Now remember, Aaron's son DJ is still with Dylan's parents at this point. And John has the nerve to ask Laura to raise DJ. And she does it, and I'm just like, ooh. So you're going to raise your husband's outside of marriage baby by his baby cousin. So your husband and his cousin had a baby, and now you have to raise it. That's too much to unpack. But unfortunately, I don't think it's not common, but I have a feeling that probably somebody has been in Laura's shoes before. But it doesn't end there, right? So, the story, the various story points start wrapping up. So, Siobhan ends up going to Berkeley. She decides to go follow her, I don't know if it's following her dream, but taking that chance and moving to California, going to Berkeley. Silver Fox, the writer, Silver Fox, I forget his name, played by Guy Pearce, he accepts another job at another university, and, he moves on, John, Mare's ex-husband, I forget his name, Frank and Faye, they make up, they get married, that gets tied up. One of the beautiful moments, I think, and it shows such character development, is that, there's, before their wedding, we see Mare actually, socializing with Frank and Faye, being civilized, with them. If you remember at the beginning, she was completely not welcome, but she's more accepted in her family. And, you know, I don't know, I just thought it was just a nice, like, true character development. True character development. Then, what else? So then, okay. Then, let's see. Then we get a quick clip of Katie Bailey and her mom and Bethy, the friend, and Katie Bailey ends up getting her own home thanks to the community, you know, so she gets a fresh start, and that's a nice end to her story. Then the priest who had ended up getting arrested and charged because he threw Aaron's bike in the river, you know, he gets exonerated because after John, you know, because John actually was the murderer, so he gets to clear his name. Then we cut to I think her name was Carrie, Drew's mother, Carrie, and if we remember, Drew was Mare's grandson, and Carrie doesn't show up for the the custody hearing, and so Mare like somehow knows to leave the mediation room and look for Carrie, and Carrie's just sitting there on the bench, and she admits that she started using again and she's going back to rehab and that she can't really take care of her son. You know, so the grandson's gonna end up staying with Mare. It was a nice moment there. Then we even get Raggedy Dylan. So Dylan, if we remember, it was who we all thought initially was Aaron's baby's father. He shows up at Laura's house with not only the money that Aaron had started to save for the baby's ear surgery. He also finally saved up enough money and gave it and had it for the ear surgery, and he gives that money to Laura. So I feel like that like was definitely redeeming for his character as well. Even though he acts like a little jerk throughout the whole show, which that was his character to be, but I thought it was nice that he kind of redeems himself at the end with giving that surgery money, even though the baby ended up having the surgery without his money. But it was nice that I thought it was very, very nice final note for his character. Then things start getting. Then when you think things are like wrapping up, there's one final little thing that's bothering Mare, and it also bothers you as an audience member, is that when John Ross is giving his confession about killing Aaron, he doesn't give any description about the gun. And Mare's like, you don't remember the gun? Especially since you took pains to get rid of it? He's like, no. But Mare remembered from the ballistics report, and you might remember as well, that it was like a former police officer's gun. So it keeps nagging Mare, like this little nag, like, what's something still not adding up? Because number one, where is the gun? And why wouldn't he remember? Because it was like a very specific type of gun. So the story kind of threads back to the very first scene when the widower, the guy who was married to the nosy neighbor who, died of a heart attack in her car, the husband, he calls her over to the house. And Mare's like, okay, why am I here? You know what I mean? And first you think it's going to be a scene about, how do you grieve, after losing someone you love, which Mare clearly has experience in. But he says, I felt the need to report this, and it's very strange. I couldn't find my gun for weeks, for months or whatever, and then now the gun is back. And Mara's like, well, where did you keep your gun? He was like, in the shed. It was locked in the shed. She said, did anybody else have access to the shed? He was like, no, just me. Oh, yeah, and the little boy who, and Dylan Ross, the boy who mows my lawn every summer. At that moment, Mara knows it wasn't even John Ross who killed what's-her-face, Aaron. It was the, I hate to call him creepy, but the creepy little 13-year-old boy, Laura's son, who's so serious all the time. He killed her. It turned out to be an accident, but here's how he did it. He, the night of Frank's engagement party, Dylan saw his dad on the phone with Aaron, and she's starting to expose him, and she doesn't help him with the boy's ear surgery. So while his dad wasn't paying attention, he took his dad's phone, and this poor Aaron got catfished twice in one night. But he catfished her, sort of, and texted her, acting like he was his dad, and told her to meet him in that park. So after the boy goes home, he hops on his bike, he goes to the shed, he steals the gun, he goes to the park, and he just wanted to scare her. He didn't intend to kill her. But they get into a scuffle at the park, and because he just wanted to scare her to say, leave his family alone, stop, messing with my dad, which the little boy shouldn't even have to do all that, like the dad, but whatever. So she tries to wrestle a gun away from her, and the gun goes off, and then he accidentally shoots her in the face. So that's how she died. It was an accident. And they arrest the little boy, and then Laura completely loses it on Mare, and it's a whole, so Laura just Mare can't believe that Laura lied to her twice, basically. She lied about Billy, she lied about John. Obviously her goal was to protect her son from going, to prison, but he's going to juvie because he's a minor, but she was just trying to protect her son. But she was mad at Mare, and she's like, you couldn't just let this one go. You couldn't have called me first. You couldn't have, and she's blaming Mare for everything. But in the reality of it is that she ought to be blaming her husband, because he shouldn't have been, molesting and everything else with his young cousin. It's really her husband's fault, for, carrying on an illicit, inappropriate relationship with a relative, a younger relative, a minor relative. So, which, I think, we understand as an audience, but the character, doesn't get that. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all the nitty gritty at the end, but that's basically whoa. So a lot to handle. The show, I'm sad that it's over, but it's ending as it needs to end. If you want to do a limited series, this is how you do a limited series, with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and all through lines. So hats off to the writing team, the executive producers, all of them, the cast, the crew, hair, makeup, lighting, prop department, everybody. Y'all did the dang thing, okay? Y'all did it. High fives. I hope you get all the Emmys that you are nominated for. It was good. I don't expect any sort of season 2, because it's a limited series. That's why they call it a limited series. But if y'all come up with something else, I hope you do, because this was just an amazing, amazing effort. So until next time, y'all.